now going to take a look at some of the key differences between the two types of board within the system, switchboards and distribution boards. Here I'm going to add one of each board. As you can see, for both boards, the topology that has been added each time is the same. It has added the object, plus the conductor, plus an upstream protective device. Visually, there is a distinct difference between the switchboard and the distribution board. Here we can see that the switchboard has no predefined or pre-made ways available to connect to. Here on our distribution board, a predefined number of ways has been applied and added to the board itself. Let's first look at how we can add various connections and ways to switchboards. Here on my switchboard, I'm going to right click and I can start adding any type of circuit to this board that I wish. As we can see, I can add a combination of any 3-phase or single phase board or final circuit. As I add final circuits or ways, you will see that on switchboard, automatically new ways are added to the board. Here I've added one 3-phase way, and then I've added 3 single phase ways. You may notice that each time I added a single phase circuit, it has added it to a new way and a different phase. Increasing the phase each time helps with our load balancing, but also here, when we add a way to a single phase, all the other phases for that single phase way are reserved for it. For instance, if I now go into the circuit edit for this final circuit, here on the left hand side of our circuit edit, I have an option available now to change which phase this circuit belongs to. You will notice from the drop down menu, we can have single phase L1, L2 or L3 circuits, but also circuits can be supplied from dual phases where applicable. This is why on switchboards, when we add a final circuit, that the other 2 phases are no longer available to be connected to. Now if I add final circuits to a distribution board, we can add various types of circuits at any location across this distribution board. Here I'm going to insert any single phase circuit onto L1. I can now skip ways as applicable to the design that I'm undertaking. If I wish to add any 3-phase way to a distribution board, the L1 phase must always be selected. Here, if I select the L1 on way 3 and I go to the insert menu, you will see that I have the option both available for adding a 3-phase and a single phase final circuit. When we add a 3-phase circuit, a message will pop up to identify that circuits L2 and L3 will not be available for use with any other final circuit. However, if I go to a particular phase other than L1, when we go to the insert menu, you will see that the 3-phase option is not available. Now let's take a look at the properties of the particular boards. Here, if I select our switchboard and go to the right hand side of our screen here, we can see a number of properties that are available to select for this board. Here we can select the circuit prefix and description. These are the same items that also map in our circuit edit to these 2 boxes just here. When we select our distribution board, however, you will note on the properties that another section now appears above our general properties. First, we can select the number of ways, so where we currently have 4 ways. If this requires to be a larger board, we can select to increase the number of ways. Also here, in the DIN rail mounted style, we can choose to select the board to be on various levels. As you can see, I've placed this board on 2 levels. The software has automatically divided the ways to be equally split between the levels. This will be the same depending on the number of levels I have selected. Different styles are also available to be used in the schematic window. Here, by using the Select Style button, we'll open up a new menu which will allow us to identify how we wish our board to look within our schematic detail. Here I'm going to select vertical, starting up and then alternately numbering either side of the board. As you can see, the board has now been changed to match the information that I selected. Other styles here also produce similar results. For instance, by selecting the vertical style, starting from one side and counting to the other, you can see that the numbering and the ways and the circuits connected to them have also changed locations based upon that selection. Going back to switchboards, there is one type of feature on this type of board which does not appear on distribution board types. That is the ability to add multiple sources where necessary. For instance, here I'm going to right click the switchboard and go to the switchboard functions. Here from the switchboard functions I can choose to install another power supply to a switchboard. From here we can see that there are two options available. First of all, I'm going to show adding an additional power supply. Here you can see that when I made this selection, the software has selected a generator and connected it directly to our switchboard. It has also added a coupler. This coupler is identifying currently what is the active supply and also what is currently powering this board. Going back to our switchboard functions, I'm going to go now to our second option, which is to install a supply from. This will now open up an additional window, which will allow us to select a location that we want our power supply to be taken from. For instance, here we can see that I can take one from DB3, which is powered from SB1. Here on DB3, the software is also showing me which ways are available for me to take a power supply from. For this example, I'm going to take a supply from here on way 4. As I want to add to way 4, I'm going to select this now from the menu here, and by pressing OK, the software will now add an additional supply into my board from the available free way.